These are the 10 best Jordan brand releases left to drop in 2024. And let's start things off with the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is the Travis Scott Jumpman Jack in sale. This shoe was originally supposed to release in early March, but for whatever reason, Jordan brand decided to delay the release until April 30th. The Jumpman Jacks are Travis Scott's first original silhouette with Jordan brand. Although they're a new silhouette, they do feature a lot of details that can be found in previous Nike and Jordan releases. I mean, you just look at the upper of the shoe, and it looks a lot like a pair of Nike Dunks. Other details like the midsole of the shoe, which seems to be inspired by the Nike Air Yeezy 2 and consequently the Nike Air Tech Challenge 2. And of course, you also have some carryover details from previous Travis Scott collaborations like the backwards Nike swoosh, which seems to be his signature detail on his collabs. Now, I honestly can't tell you what the reception will be like for these shoes. Right now, they're reselling for $2,500 to $3,000, but that's only because there was this insanely limited release during the Super Bowl. And sure, I bet these shoes will sell out when they officially release on April 30th, at least in the sale colorway, but I'm not sure about the upcoming colorways after that. The hype just doesn't seem as crazy for these shoes as I originally expected. While yes, these are a Travis Scott collaboration with Jordan brand, they're not a collab like the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s or the Travis Scott Air Jordan 4s that take a hyped artist and have him collab on a pair of shoes that are already hyped. These shoes are a brand new silhouette with no history, and the only thing really driving the hype behind these shoes is Travis Scott himself. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens when these shoes officially release on April 30th, but I'm really interested to see what the hype is going to be like. I'm sure for this first colorway, the sale colorway, it'll be relatively high because it looks a lot like the reverse mocha Travis Scott 1s, and it's the first of this kind of silhouette. I just don't know about those follow-up colorways. I'm sure they'll sell, but I don't know if they're gonna resell for that much. Not that resale really matters, but it does sort of determine the hype levels for the shoe, and so I just don't know what the hype is gonna be like, but I'm interested to find out. Then rounding off the honorable mentions, we've got the Trophy Room Air Jordan 1 Lows. Now the reason these shoes are on the honorable mention list and not really high up on the list is because honestly, they're releasing right now as we speak. So they're not really an upcoming release anymore. Sure, there might be another release of these shoes later in March on the sneakers app, but they're already releasing through Trophy Room literally today on Wednesday the 13th, so the release has kind of already happened. That being said, the sneakers are absolutely amazing. They're inspired by that classic Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card, and they feature this beautiful sort of reverse black toe color blocking. The red accents on the shoe come in a satin with the Trophy Room logo embroidered into them. The heel of the shoe comes in like this black corduroy with the Michael Jordan signature logo embroidered into it. You've got an embroidered Nike swoosh on the side of the shoe, and then there's also an away colorway and a home colorway. The away colorway releasing to the general public, and the home colorway only really releasing to friends and family and exclusively at the Trophy Room store. I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite Trophy Room collab release since the Trophy Room 5s. Of course though, the hype is pretty high for these, and I'm gonna have to pay resale for these because as of right now, I haven't heard anything about my raffle entry. I'm assuming I did not hit, but it's a dope release and I'm definitely trying to grab a pair for myself. But now diving into the actual list, starting things off at number 10, we've got the Air Jordan 4 Oxidized Green. So this shoe was just revealed through the Sneakers app live that happened last week, and it's a brand new colorway of the Air Jordan 4. It also seems like a more premium take on the shoe, a take that we've seen before, but not in this colorway. The upper of the shoe comes in this really premium looking tumbled leather. You've got a leather accent on the wing portion of the shoe instead of TPU plastic. The midsole of the shoe comes in an oxidized yellow, or I guess cream color, which I really like. And of course, you've got those dark green hits throughout the shoe, which absolutely make the look. Oh, one other premium detail that I forgot to mention was the heel tab of the shoe. It comes in leather instead of a TPU, which again, something that we've seen before, but not in this colorway. The colorway is dope, man. It's super clean, super wearable, perfect for summer, which makes sense because it releases officially on May 25th for $210. And I honestly think this is gonna be a pretty popular release. I know it's gonna sell out, or at least I think it's gonna sell out, and I wouldn't be surprised if it resells for like $50 to $100 over retail. I'm not 100% sure, but that wouldn't surprise me. Number 9, the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low Canary. So I've actually got a review of this sneaker coming up in the next couple days, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to see that as soon as that drops. But the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Low Canary is definitely one of the most polarizing Travis Scott releases ever. The shoe comes in this incredibly bright colorway. It's got canary yellow, it's got white, it's got blue, and a gum outsole. Now, at first glance, you might be thinking, what was Travis Scott thinking? This looks nothing like any of his other sneakers. But when you dig a little bit deeper, you'll realize that the colorway of this shoe was actually inspired by Travis Scott's high school, Elkins High. And having had this shoe in hand, I've got to admit that I actually really dig this sneaker. It looks really good on foot. It's definitely not for everybody, but I think it's one of those colorways that would be perfect to have in your collection to bust out during the summer or whenever you need like a wild pair of sneakers. And weirdly enough, my personal favorite part of the shoe is actually the gum outsole. I like the yellow, I like the blue, but the gum makes it look more like a skate shoe than like some childish kid shoe. It's just kind of a dope look. It's out there, it's different. I'm into it. If you decide you want to grab a pair of the Canary Travis Scotts for yourself, they should release officially on May 17th for a retail price of $150. But keep in mind, even though people are not seeming to like this shoe that much now, they probably won't keep that same energy, and this shoe will absolutely sell out and unfortunately probably resell for maybe not as much as like the olive or the reverse olive Travis Scott ones, but still for more than I would like to pay personally. Number 8, the Air Jordan 11 Low Space Jam. So it's been a minute since we last got a pair of Air Jordan 11 Space Jams. We've had a lot of sneakers releasing that look like the Space Jams, like the Gratitude 11s from last year, but not any official Space Jams for a while. But this summer things are changing. We're finally getting another Space Jam 11, however this time around debuting for the first time ever as the Space Jam 11 Lows. Obviously, even though this shoe is a low top version of the sneaker, it still looks a lot like the original Space Jam 11. You've got a ballistic nylon upper in black, you've got black patent leather wrapping around the bottom of the upper of the shoe, you've got a white midsole, and you can't forget the icy blue outsole. I haven't always been a huge fan of low top Air Jordan 11s. There have been some pairs that I've really liked and pairs that I've owned, like the Bread 11 Lows, but this pair is actually a pair that I would consider grabbing because it's an OG colorway, it's a pair that's perfect for summer because obviously it's a low top 11, and I don't know, I feel like 11s are coming back a little bit. For some reason over the last couple years, they just haven't been as popular as they once were, and I think that might change in 2024 because the ones aren't as popular as they once were. The 4s are now the most popular shoe out there, and I feel like there's a void that people really want to fill with 11s. I could be wrong about that, but that's sort of what I'm thinking. Either way, the shoe is dropping sometime this summer. Unfortunately, we do not have a release date yet for a retail price of $190, which yes is high, but regular 11s go for like $220 to $250, so it makes sense for a low top version. Number 7, the Maniere Air Jordan 4 Phantoms. So for some reason, the original Maniere 4s are not as popular as I always expected them to be, especially now when the Air Jordan 4 is like that shoe. But it seems like Maniere is continuing their collaboration with Jordan Brand with a new colorway of the Air Jordan 4s, this time in Phantom, which apparently is like a white or a cream colored upper. So we've actually already seen this shoe in real life on the foot of James Whitner at Paris Fashion Week. Well, I haven't seen it in real life, but there are photos of him rocking this shoe, and the good news is it looks just like the renderings, which is not something that happens that often. The sneaker looks amazing, and I'm definitely here for it. The upper of the shoe comes in an off-white leather accented by suede around the toe. You've got this really clean split midsole between cream and sort of a dark purple color, the same sort of color that they used on the Maniere 4s, the original release of the shoe. And then of course the outsole of the shoe comes in the same cream and purple color as you get on the midsole, and honestly, I think I might like the shoe better than the original. Don't get me wrong, the original, absolutely fire. This shoe is incredible. I just picked up my own personal pair, but this new version of the shoe might take the cake. I can't believe it. There are so many good Jordan releases this year. I had to make this video. I could have made a top 20 list, but that would have been crazy. And you know what? Maybe I should put the shoe higher on the list. I don't know. This shoe is fire though. If you're looking to grab a pair of the upcoming Maniere 4 Phantoms, which I'll be honest, I'm definitely looking forward to, they release officially, or they should release on September 19th for a retail price of $250. Man, I can't wait. Maniere just continues to kill it. And actually, speaking of that, number 6, the Maniere Air Jordan 3 in Burgundy Crush and the Maniere Air Jordan 3 in black. 2024 might be the year of Maniere. They are releasing so many dope collaborations, at least from what we can tell from these renderings. The original Maniere Air Jordan 3, in my opinion, is the best collab they've ever released, and possibly one of the best Air Jordan 3 collaborations of all time. This shoe, in my opinion, could be the perfect collab Air Jordan 3. It's not as good as the Black Cement 3s, I'm not gonna lie there, but the material quality, the colorway of this shoe, the story behind the sneaker, everything about this shoe is amazing. So it makes sense that in 2024, Maniere and Jordan Brand have teamed up once again to release another Air Jordan 3 collaboration, however this time not in one colorway, but in 2. Like the original Maniere Air Jordan 3s, both of these colorways will be women's exclusives, however they will probably come in extended sizing, so men like myself can grab a pair and still be able to rock them, although I'm a size 9, so I could rock women's sizing regardless. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of people out there who hate on size 9s. That's a sample size, that's a standard size. I get so many comments saying, yo, I'm 14 and my feet are size 9. Yes, you're probably gonna end up being bigger than me. Go for you, your jeans are taller, I don't know. But that aside, hey, it's easier for me to grab sneakers. Don't hate on me. You know what? Size 14s, you guys have it tough out there. I'm not even mad about it. The 2 colorways that are releasing are the Burgundy Crush colorway and the black colorway. According to renders by Sneaker Files and Z Sneakerhead Z, the Burgundy Crush colorway comes with a white upper, accented by maroon hits on the heel and on the toe of the shoe. Honestly, pretty similar to what we had on the original Maniere 3s, however, with some colors switched around a little bit, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of stoked about because this colorway is awesome, so I wouldn't be mad at having a colorway that's similar but different. And then we've got the black colorway, which apparently comes with a black leather upper and dark gray hits on the heel, on the toe, and on the midsole. Of course, both of these colorways feature that sort of cream-colored midsole, at least on the bottom part of the midsole, which I do think ties all of the Maniere sneakers together. But based on the rendering, both of these colorways are really clean. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like them as much as the original Maniere Air Jordan 3s, and that's not just because of the hype talking, that's also because I think this colorway was just the perfect Air Jordan 3 colorway, but they're definitely clean and definitely shoes that I want to try and pick up. According to Sneaker Bar Detroit, these shoes release on July 18th, obviously in women's sizing, for a retail price of $250. Now that release date isn't confirmed. It's very possible that these two shoes don't release on the same day and instead release on different days, or maybe one is an Maniere.com exclusive and the other one releases on the sneakers app. But I will say that I have very high hopes for this collab, and hopefully we don't get let down when we actually see the shoe in person. But I'm not gonna lie, all the shoes that we talked about in today's list are awesome, and all the sneakers that we have coming up later on the list, in my opinion, are even better. But you can't have a great fit without a great pair of socks to go with your dope sneakers. And the good news is for you, if you're looking for a dope pair of socks, I actually own a sock company called Apothecary. We've got this fire landscape drop happening this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time on apothecary.com. This collection comes in 4 different sock colorways and a long sleeve tee, which looks amazing. And if you want to grab any of this stuff, again, check it out, apothecary.com, linked in the top of the description below this Friday. And in my head, I'm already picking out which socks go great with which sneakers on the list and which socks go great with the sneakers that I already have. Super easy to match these socks to sneakers because the colors are absolutely fire. Number 5, the Air Jordan 11 Columbia. The Columbia 11s first debuted back in 1996 on Michael Jordan's feet during the All-Star Game. And since then, it's been one of the most popular Air Jordan 11 colorways of all time. Now, the last time that we had an actual Columbia 11 retro was back in 2014. I was actually on Nike's website right when they dropped, but unfortunately the bots ate it up. That was back when buying sneakers was even harder than it is now. Well, I guess that's not always true. I don't know, I always had trouble with it. But there is something so clean about an all-white Air Jordan 11 with an icy blue outsole. It just looks amazing. And apparently in 2024, we're getting the Columbia 11s as the holiday release 11s, which is amazing. Now, if you hadn't noticed, every year Jordan Brand releases a classic pair of Air Jordan 11s around the holidays as their holiday release Air Jordan 11. It's been that way for decades, and it seems like Jordan Brand is continuing the tradition into 2024. Even though the Air Jordan 11 is not as popular as it once was, it's still a shoe that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. I mean, I can tell you during the 2000s and the 2010s, the Air Jordan 11 was like the shoe that I always wanted to grab but had so much trouble grabbing. The Bred 11s, when they released, I think it was back in 2012, I could not grab them. That shoe was my grail for the year. I get that there was like Nike Air Yeezy 2s releasing that year as well, but man, I loved that shoe. Since then, I've grabbed a pair of the Bred 11s with the 2019 release, I think is when they last dropped. But it's one of those classic Air Jordan 11 colorways that I had to have. And it's the same way with the Columbia 11s, although I've never actually owned a pair of the Columbia 11s, at least not the standard version of the shoe. As you probably already know, the shoe features a ballistic nylon upper accented by this beautiful white patent leather around the bottom half of the upper. And of course, you've got that blue semi-translucent outsole that adds that pop of color to the shoe along with the Jumpman. It's just one of those super clean, super wearable colorways. According to Nice Kicks, this shoe is dropping on December 14th for an undisclosed retail price, but I would assume it's between $220 and $250, just knowing Jordan Brand. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see until we get closer to the release. Number 4, the Air Jordan 1 Black Toe Reimagined. For the last year or so, we've been hearing rumors about a reimagined Black Toe Air Jordan 1, and up until recently, we thought those rumors were just flat out not true. But while a lot of people got the release information about this shoe wrong, apparently there is a reimagined Air Jordan 1 Black Toe, and it's coming this year. And I personally couldn't be more happy because I love the Air Jordan 1 Black Toe. It's one of my favorite colorways of all time. It's one of the OG Air Jordan 1 colorways. The problem is, apparently this new reimagined version of the shoe will not feature the Wings logo on the lateral side. Instead, this new 2024 reimagined Black Toe will feature the Rare Air branding on the lateral side, which some people don't like. Now, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite branding on the Air Jordan 1. I definitely prefer the Wings logo to the Rare Air branding, but it's not bad and it's still gonna be a good looking sneaker. Plus, there's also history with that Rare Air branding, so it's not something that just came out of nowhere. It's not like this brand new thing for the Air Jordan 1 Reimagined. It's something that's been around for years. So while yes, I do understand the disappointment of people because they like the Wings logo, I still personally am really excited about this shoe. The last time we had a release of a Black Toe Air Jordan 1 was all the way back in 2016 with this pair, which I actually got in the sneakers app, one of my only sneakers app wins, which is crazy. And since then, other than the low top version that we got last year, this is the closest thing we've ever had to the original Black Toe Air Jordan 1s. Now, the reception to this shoe is gonna be really interesting for me because first of all, the Air Jordan 1 is nowhere near as popular as it was 2 years ago. The hype Air Jordan sneaker right now seems to be the Air Jordan 4. That's the shoe that no matter what colorway it releases in, it tends to sell out. The Air Jordan 1 sits in really good colorways. So I do think that it is possible that these reimagined Black Toes may sit, as we saw with the reimagined Royals sitting last year, which to be fair, they were very different than the original Royals because they were suede. But I do think it's a possibility that these shoes don't end up selling out or even selling as quickly as previous Air Jordan 1 releases. Now, I'm still planning to grab a pair when they drop apparently on October 18th for a retail price of $180. Plus, they also come in full family sizing. So if you want to deck out your family in a full Air Jordan 1 fit, you can do it in October. I mean, you can't do it now, but you can do it in October for retail price. You could even do it at the outlet, honestly, if you're going for like the Royal Reimagines, because they got a bunch of those pairs. Number 3, the Air Jordan 4 Military Blue. So for whatever reason, Jordan Brand has decided to rename this classic classic OG Air Jordan 4 to the industrial blue, which has led a lot of people to believe that this is not the true military blue, but I'm here to tell you it is. Although apparently the shade of blue might be slightly different than the original military blue 4s, which I can't confirm because I don't have an original pair of military blue 4s, the shoe does look just like the original. Now, I actually already dropped an earlier review of this sneaker courtesy of Secret Sauce, so if you guys want to check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen, but I've got to say, for me, this shoe is in my top 10 list of the year already. Which sure, is premature, but this shoe is an OG Air Jordan 4 colorway, it's super wearable, and I just love white and blue, man. So over the last few months, the release information for this shoe has been muddled, to say the least. Apparently, people thought it was going to release in May, and then it got pushed up to April, and now it's back down to May 4th, so I think the release date for this shoe is going to be May 4th for a retail price of $215. We've already heard about this sneaker through the Sneakers Live thing that they did on the Sneakers app. I don't know exactly what it's called, but they already announced it there. So it is pretty much already confirmed, and for me, I'm confirming that this shoe is a double up. I've got to have it, man. I love it. First of all, the shoe was supposed to be cut like the 1989 Air Jordan 4s, which I can't really compare because I don't have a 1989 pair of Air Jordan 4s. There was a rumor that the shoe was supposed to be like the SB 4s from last year, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, they're not. So while they do feel a little bit different than some of the older 4s in my collection, they're pretty similar to the 4s that we've been getting recently. And man, you really can't go wrong with the white leather upper, the blue hits on the netting of the shoe, on the heel tab, on the midsole. It's all fire. And most likely, the release of this shoe is going to be pretty similar to the Bread 4 Reimagined. It's going to be incredibly popular. There should be a lot of pairs available, but it's not going to be that easy to get because so many people want it. So make sure to keep an eye out on my Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at @RealSethFowler if you want to have up-to-date information about this shoe, but I've got to say, planning to have a couple of these. Number 2, the Air Jordan 4 Fear. So last year we got the Fear 3s, one of my favorite Air Jordan 3 releases, but for some reason, the hype just wasn't there on that shoe, even though the initial release of this shoe was insanely hyped and sold out immediately. As some of you may know, the Fear 3s released last year for the 10th anniversary of the original Fear Pack drop, and this year in 2024, we are getting the other sneaker from the collection, or from the pack, the Air Jordan 4 Fears. And I think it's fair to say that this shoe's release is going to be way more popular than the Fear 3s. One, because the Air Jordan 4 is the most popular silhouette from Jordan Brand right now, but two, because the colorway of this shoe is so clean and so wearable. I mean, if you were a fan of Jordan Brand back in the early 2010s, you know this pack, you love this pack, and for me, it is an absolute must-cop. Now with the Fear 3s, I was lucky enough to find a pair at the outlet because, like I said, they were kind of sitters, but with the Fear 4s, I just do not think that's going to be possible. I don't think that's going to be the case. In my head, I think these shoes are going to fly off shelves. The shoe features a black tonal nubuck upper. It starts in black, fades to like a dark gray, and then to a lighter gray, and then getting to the midsole of the shoe, you have a black midsole with white splatter print. And of course, you've got these sort of cream white, or I guess light gray accents on the lace eyelets of the shoe and also on the outsole. I can't overstate how hot 4s are right now, so any colorway of a 4 is probably going to do relatively well. I mean, sure, the crafts didn't do incredibly well, you could find them at the outlets, but still, they're almost guaranteed to sell out, and being such a popular colorway, this shoe is going to be hype. According to Sneaker News, the new Fear 4s are set to release on November 9th, 2024 for a retail price of $215. And expect me to drop a review on these because these shoes, they're awesome. Finally coming in at number 1, the Air Jordan 3 Black Cement. Earlier this year, it was widely reported that the upcoming Air Jordan 3 Black Cement would be a reimagined version of the shoe. However, it wouldn't be a reimagining like the White Cement 3 reimagines that we got last year. Instead, it would be closer to a reimagining like the Air Jordan 1 Royal reimagines. The thought was that the reimagined Black Cement 3s would release with a suede upper instead of a leather upper. And while a shoe like that has never officially released to the public, there have been samples of that shoe. In fact, I think one of the earliest samples of the Air Jordan 3 Black Cement was a suede sample, so there is some history tied to it, so it wouldn't be completely out of the blue if they decided to release that shoe. However, people were not having it. People did not like this idea whatsoever. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I still would have bought the shoe because the Black Cement 3 is like my second favorite sneaker of all time. The first being the Bread Air Jordan 1s. Hopefully you guys know that by now if you've watched my channel for a while, but this is definitely a number 2 or number 3. It's kind of a toss-up for me between the White Cements and the Black Cements, but if you're like most people and you don't want a suede Air Jordan 3 Black Cement, the good news for you is that it looks like the shoe is releasing in its original 1988 form and not a reimagined version of the shoe. In fact, it's even being reported that the shoe will not feature any aged midsole details or aged details whatsoever like we had on the White Cement 3 reimagines. Instead, we're apparently getting a 1-to-1, or as close to 1-to-1 as possible, re-release of the 1988 Air Jordan 3 Black Cement, and I can't tell you how excited I am about this release. For me, this has the potential to be sneaker of the year. To be fair though, there's a lot of other frontrunners for that position, like the Trophy Room Air Jordan 1 lows, or the Futura Nike SB Dunk lows, or even the Air Jordan 4 Breads, or maybe even the Air Jordan 4 Military Blues, or some of the New Balance releases, or Asics releases. There's so many good, even the AE ones actually, come to think of it. There's so many great sneakers that have released so far this year and are set to release this year that it's hard to say what the sneaker of the year will be, but an Air Jordan 3 Black Cement cut like the 1988s, is going to be near the top of the list. Now, unfortunately, that's really all the information that we have in terms of how the sneaker will look and feel. We don't know anything about the quality of the materials, like with the Air Jordan 185s, how their quality is a little bit nicer than the standard Air Jordan 1s. I don't know if that's going to be the case with these Air Jordan 3s. Most likely it'll be your standard Air Jordan 3 leather, which is tumbled and feels fine, but it's nothing incredible. Obviously, this shoe will be incredibly hyped, so expect demand to be through the roof. So if you want to pair these, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but Jordan Brand should be releasing a lot of these. Apparently, Jordan Brand is releasing these in full family sizing, which usually means it's going to be a pretty widespread release, so that's a good thing. I can't wait. I really can't wait. And the good news is they are releasing before the end of the year on November 23rd for, unfortunately, a surprisingly high retail price of $220. That's more than the Military Blues, which came out at $215 or will come out at $215. So that's a lot. So make sure to stay locked on this channel and subscribe if you haven't yet, because as soon as I can get an early pair into review, I'm gonna do that, because that shoe is honestly kind of a grail for me. But hey, that pretty much wraps up my top 10 list for today. I would love to know your thoughts on your favorite upcoming Jordans this year in 2024. Make sure to leave those comments in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out the upcoming Apothecary drop. It's gonna be fire, link top of the description below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you all in the next one.